Hello, worth workers. How are you? How did your worth work go this week? Were you able to try and figure out what your emotions were trying to tell you? And were you able to acknowledge your positive emotional states, like happiness or peace or when you felt loved or motivated? I really hope that you become a master of knowing yourself so that you can get back to your positive emotional states. This week, we'll be adding on to this conversation by talking about the emotion of anger and what it is trying to tell you, and then what you can do about it. Last week, we talked about how you cannot control if you will feel anger. You can only control your reaction when you feel anger. For example, if someone kicks you in the shin, you have no choice if you will feel that pain. You are going to feel it, but you can control if you kick that person back or not. Hopefully, we can all be the bigger person and never resort to violence as a way to try and solve a problem. But I do want to acknowledge that anger can feel so big and so painful and so overwhelming that it can seem that anger is uncontrollable. I want you to consider and ponder on this truth about anger that I'm going to tell you, that some of you might have had a hard time believing. I know I did, but if you grew up being blamed for other people's anger, this next statement may seem crazy. And the statement is that anger does not require action. What? Why does this seem unbelievable? Because when you grow up in an environment where anger was always accompanied by an explosive reaction, for example, you made me angry, so I'm going to yell at you. Or you made me angry, you're going to time out. You made me angry, so I had to hit you. Unfortunately, there are some who have had to experience anger in this way, and I'm so sorry if you have. But you may have this belief, if I do something to make someone else angry, they are out of control of their behavior after that point, which means we come to think of anger as this absolutely uncontrollable emotion. If you have this bias that anger is uncontrollable, you may be more prone to gaslighting yourself into pretending that you are not angry when you are clearly very angry in your body. Because if you believe anger is necessarily paired with an explosive reaction, you are going to try and tell yourself that you are not angry. So please remember that you are not in control of when you feel the anger. Like, denying that feeling is not going to help you. But feeling anger, it just is what it is, and that's okay. However, you are in control of how you react to the anger. So in order to know how to react, we need to figure out what our anger is trying to tell us. Anger is a secondary emotion, meaning that anger is the reaction to a root emotion. Anger is trying to tell you that you are really feeling one of these four things or a combination of the four. The four things that anger is trying to tell you that you're feeling is that you are hurt, you are threatened, you are frustrated or powerless. And like I said, you may feel all four, or like hurt and frustrated at the same time, or threatened and powerless at the same time. But the root cause of your anger is usually one of these four emotions. So let's start with hurt. So hurt means that you feel personally attacked at the core of who you are as a person. For example, I enjoy being a helpful person, and if I'm helping you out, and if you criticize me for how I helped you out, that would hurt my feelings because I believe myself to be an excellent helper. That would make me angry because I'm helping you, and instead of being grateful, I get told, you did this and this and this wrong. I probably won't want to help you again. But you can see how the main feeling I felt was anger. But if I get to root of what was really bothering me, the root emotion was hurt. So when you are hurt by someone and how they treated you, then it means you need to communicate what caused the hurt so that the person who hurt you will not continue to hurt you. And if that person is receptive, they will try to change their behavior. And if they are not receptive to knowing that they hurt you, then you will have to set a boundary with that person to protect yourself, or just not interact with that person, which is a type of boundary. But let's go back to this example. So in this instance, if I say, hey, it really hurt me when I helped you put the groceries away and you told me I did it wrong. If there was a specific way you wanted it done, please let me know. And I'd be happy to do that for you. But please don't criticize me for helping you the best way that I knew how. And then they might say, oh, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. I didn't realize I hurt you. I will try to be more specific about the help that I need next time. And then, great, amazing. You can just move forward. But if they're like, I didn't even want your help, like you just did it, then my boundary will be that I'm going to wait for them to ask me for help instead of just offering it. And if they do ask for my help, I'm going to ask some more specific questions on how they want the job done, so I will not be told that I did it wrong. And also decide if I even have the tokens to help them, and then decide if I even want to help them. So I've placed proper protections so that I don't get hurt again, and I can move forward in safety in this relationship. Or maybe I have to decide to end the relationship in order to protect myself. So if there's like a pattern of this continually hurting, then maybe that's a bigger conversation. But I hope that you are able to recognize when you're feeling hurt and then be able to communicate through that and set the proper boundary if you need to. Okay, the next root emotion is when you feel threatened. Anger is the armor that we use to protect ourselves when we feel threatened by a given person or a situation. In evolutionary terms, it exists to help us survive a real threat to our lives. When facing a threat, we first try to flee. If we can't flee, we're going to fight back. If we cannot fight back, then we freeze. And outside of survival, anger is just an attempt to cope with perceived threats to our psyche, our confidence, our way of life, our choices, the wants and needs that we have. Our anger can be loud and aggressive, or it can be quiet and calculated. So maybe like passive aggressive, or just like actually manipulating people to try and get your way or control the situation. Either way, we use anger to control the situation or the people around us through intimidation, aggression, rejection, judgment. So rejection can look like the silent treatment. Like I said before, manipulation or coercion. So we're just trying to convince them, stacking up evidence, So when anger turns on your fight, flight, or freeze in a situation, you are most likely feeling threatened. You are feeling unsafe, uneasy about the situation. And when this is triggered, you may want to think about immediately taking a breath, like, take a second, because these are the times when you might act out in a way that you regret because you were just seeing red, and you're like, if you're a fighting person, you're like, I'm gonna get you back right now. So everything I've been holding on to, I'm gonna bring up all your old crap and throw it back in your face to win this argument and to make you feel how I'm feeling. I'm feeling threatened, so I'm gonna threaten you back. I'm gonna fight. Or you might just shut down and totally freeze and then just like, not know what to do. That can happen. And then you just need to remove yourself from the situation. And then in a safer environment, you can decide how to react. There's also a fawning response where you're just doing everything to please them. You're like, yeah, you're right. You're so right. Sorry I said anything. And you didn't mean to, but you were so scared that you were just like, I need to diffuse the situation and get out because I'm afraid of how that person might treat me. Because it could get bad. It can get bad quickly. I felt like sometimes when you're back in a place of safety and you're like, oh, I should have said this and I should have said that comment, and blah, 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 blah. Like all that, those amazing comebacks that you could have had. in that argument and fight and like, oh, I would have won if I just said that. Oh, I wish. But no, you were literally protecting yourself. When another person is mad at you, they are usually on a one-track mind also. So like, no matter what you say in that moment for them, you are not going to convince them otherwise. When you both have a chance to separate and reflect and then figure out how to communicate what you needed in that moment and then set a boundary. And then like, if you did react in anger, like it got the best of you, please apologize. And hopefully they apologize to you for their rude and inappropriate behavior. And you can move forward and move on and forgive each other. And yeah. Okay, when you feel threatened, the first step is to pause, take a breath. And then if you need to remove yourself from that situation, get out of there. And then come back when you are both feeling level-headed. Okay, frustrated. Okay, I looked up this definition of frustrated. It says feeling or expressing distress and annoyance, especially because of inability to change or achieve something. You did all you could and everything didn't work out. Or maybe you're trying to teach something for the umpteenth time to the same person. You're giving them the best advice and they're just not taking your advice. And you're so freaking frustrated. You're angry at them now because they're not listening to you. I think the clearest example of being frustrated is if you've asked somebody to take out the trash several days in a row and they're not doing it, and you're just getting more and more frustrated, and then eventually you're like, I told you. Your anger is coming out because you're pissed because they didn't listen to you. I told you to take that trash out. You didn't do it. So clearly I am so frustrated. Very fair. People are frustrating when they don't do what you want them to do. When it feels like they just have taken away your agency and you have no choice and you're just watching them do this. And if they would just listen to me because I know what's best, I wouldn't be so angry. So how do we deal with feelings of frustration? Again, it's clear communication. So with the taking out the trash, you can go to whoever you asked and say, hey, I noticed you weren't able to take out the trash. Is there something I can do to help you make sure you get it done? Because me reminding you isn't working. So let's make a plan together and figure out how we can help you get this goal done. Clear communication is going to help you get through your frustrations with others. Look inward on when you're frustrated about something. I think take a look at the things you can control. And if it's out of your control, then just let it go. Like, you don't need to be spending your tokens or emotional energy on things that are out of your control. But if there is a way that you can help others accomplish things, you have to let them lead the way. I think that's what causes the most frustrations, is that like when we think we know better than others, or they ask for our advice and they don't take our advice. I know that makes me angry sometimes, but like it's almost like a gift. Like when you give a gift, you can't get mad at what they did with your gift. Like if they decided to resell it because they didn't like it, then like once you give it, that's not mine anymore. It's completely theirs. And you just have to let them do what they want with it. And try not to be frustrated if they do things with the gift that you weren't expecting them to do. But that's, again, out of your control. So focus on the things you can control and then have clear communication when you are frustrated with someone, and try and come up with a solution together. Okay, powerless. Meaning you are devoid of strength or resources. Or 2, you are lacking the authority or capacity to act. Watching your loved ones struggle through situations makes me angry, especially when they don't reach out for help. That makes me angry because they don't have to suffer alone. But so many of us feel like we do. And to watch your loved ones suffer is just the worst, because that makes me feel so powerless. It just makes me feel so helpless when I want to help so bad, but I just know I can't because their situation is completely out of my control. The first thing to do is acknowledge that you're feeling powerless. Because once you know that there is nothing you can do about the situation, then it is easier to accept that you really can't do anything. And that's so frustrating and it's hard and it feels scary. But then you can create the space to focus on the things you can control in the situation. And maybe you make some action items to be like, okay, I can control this, so I'm just going to focus on that. All right, Worth Workers, we've gone into this deep dive of anger. And just as a reminder, anger is the secondary emotion, the reaction to the real things that are going on. Okay, your worth work this week is to try and recognize what your anger is telling you. So are you hurt? Are you threatened? Are you frustrated or powerless? And once you know which root emotion or emotions, because there can be a combination of them, that you're really feeling, take the steps to resolve that root emotion so you can get back to your positive emotional state. And you do that by communicating what you need clearly, or you need to set a boundary, or you need to recognize the things that are out of your control and then focus on the things that are in your control and make an action plan to do the things that you can control. So anger is neither good nor bad. It's just a feeling that we feel. And I hope that as you go throughout this week, you can figure out what it's really trying to tell you so you can get back to your positive emotional states. As always, thank you again for listening. And I would love to hear from you. You can find me at trustyourworth.com or on Instagram at trust_your_worth. Thank you so much. If no one has told you today, you are so incredibly loved. You are so needed. There's only one you, and this world needs you. Okay, thank you so much. I love you. Have a great day. Bye.